The budget process is not a game. It deals with your lives.
In a special address to government of Guam workers, retirees, and taxpayers, Governor Eddie Calvo continues his criticism of the newest version of the fiscal year 2014 budget, which was substituted, added to session agenda, discussed, and approved by the Democrats Tuesday, all in less than 24 hours.
It's easy for the legislative majority to promise the farm away on a piece of paper called a budget, but it's much harder to actually manage all those promises, especially when there are more promises than there is money to pay for them.
Governor Calvo had received a copy of the latest iteration of the new budget the evening before it was passed, and as lawmakers were in session, he warned senators through a flurry of press releases that it was full of empty promises and urged them to exercise restraint. Among the various concerns with the new budget, the governor argued that it pretends there's enough money to pay for everything at its full level, such as cost of living allowances and Hay Study pay raises.
What we proposed is to increase pay and COLA based on what realistically will come in. But what the legislative majority has done instead is falsely promise you even more. And they know full well that there isn't enough money in their budget to meet all their promises. They're writing bad checks.
Governor Calvo vows to veto the bill, and when he does, he'll send down a new budget, one he says is, quote, prudent, not political.
This is what we can afford. And what I'm proposing in a new budget, phased-in implementation of the hay raises, an increase to COLA to $1,500 annually, more than enough in the provision for tax refunds, and enough funding for the operational needs of the public safety and health agencies. It partially restores the COLA, and as for the merit bonuses for judiciary and DOE, we're finding a real solution with real revenues behind it. Not a line of credit that's just a phantom appropriation that looks good on paper only. I want you to know that you can count on us to do what we say and to make good on our promises. That's why I'll never overpromise something to you.
Meanwhile, Committee Chair on Appropriations Senator Ben Pangilinan, who has repeatedly refused interviews with KUAM, issued a press release defending the new budget, stating, quote, these barrages of propaganda by the governor are only a veiled attempt to portray the legislature's budget in a negative light. What this budget does is it funds Hay Study pay raises fairly for GovGuam employees. It restores cost of living allowances for our GovGuam retirees to previous levels, and it assures the taxpayers that $7 million more than what the governor proposed is set aside for the payment of tax refunds in 2014. He added that if the governor feels the revenues are too high, he could use his line item veto authority to reduce appropriations. The governor's response?
This bill has just been such a radical departure from just the substitute bill that was presented by the appropriation chairman just a few days ago. So there has been such a major and radical change put on this bill, and there are so many flaws in it that no line item veto can save its inherent faultiness.